many in the West like to think that the Iranians have been irrational towards the United States, or the Iranians don't want to talk to the United States. The Iranians, they have an ideological problem with talking to the United States or speaking with the United States. No, it's the opposite. When the revolution happened, the leader of the revolution, Ayatollah Imam Khomeini, said that he would like to have normal ties with the US. But US behavior, the US tried to undermine the state. They supported the Shah, and then they tried to undermine the revolution. Later on, despite the fact that the United States helped Saddam Hussein in the war and gave him chemical weapons along with these Europeans, after the war, the Iranians gave the United States, a major company, Conoco at that time, a major oil field in the Persian Gulf. What did the United States do? After 2 years of negotiating, when they were about to finalize everything, the US slapped sanctions on Iran. So the Iranians attempted to change the nature of the relationship. Then the Americans approached Iran and asked Iran to help them free hostages in Lebanon. That was another case. That goes back, I think, before the Conoco issue. Now, back then, Hezbollah wasn't Hezbollah today. There were all these different groups in Lebanon, and different groups were holding hostages. It was a civil war. It was chaos. So Iran had to go to Lebanon, and the Americans promised a better relationship, and if the Iranians helped them out. So the Iranians had to use they had to spend, probably money, but also they had to use their credibility to get each and every one of these people freed. What did the United States do? They did the exact opposite of what they promised. And then, of course, there's the example of Afghanistan after 9/11, when the United States wanted to overthrow Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. The Iranians helped them because the Taliban and Al-Qaeda were terrorizing the whole country. And so the Iranians helped the United States. But what did the United States do subsequently? They called Iran an axis of evil.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
So Bush said that in his State of the Union speech.
Yeah.
Or then in Iraq, when the United States occupied the country, even though Iran condemned the United States and its invasion of Iraq. And I personally took part in the anti-war protests in the UK, because back then I was an Iranian student doing my PhD there. I was involved in different protests, including the main protests in London.
The
anti-war demonstration. So the Iranians condemned the war, but all the Iraqi groups that were affiliated to Iran, they went into Iraq and helped form a government because the Iranians wanted Iraq to be stable. But the Americans would not let go of Iraq. So in any case, the Iranians have on many occasions spoken with the United States. And the best example, the most recent example, is the 2015 JCPOA deal.
Right.
The Americans and the Iranians spoke for months. And in Vienna, Kerry and Dr. Zarif were speaking for hours on a daily basis. For 3 weeks.
Directly, yeah.
What happened? The Americans immediately cheated Iran. So it's not Iran that is ideologically opposed to some sort of rapprochement or to speaking with the Americans, but the Iranians has to say enough is enough in the discussion. But in any case, since the Iranians don't trust the Americans, they say, look, our infrastructure has to remain in place, our nuclear infrastructure, especially the new technology that was developed thanks to Trump leaving the deal, as a guarantee. This is an inherent guarantee.
It's leverage.
It's a guarantee that's in our hands.
Yeah.
You can't play with it. You can't take it away from us. You cheat us, we have the ability to go back to where we were. We have leverage. All of these were negotiated in order to preserve the deal, to make the JCPOA much stronger than before. And I'd like to just add one point. The Iranian leader, the guy who's so antagonized in the West, He said that if the United States implements the deal in good faith in 2015 under Obama, that Iran in future will be willing to discuss other issues with the United States. Of course, then he also said, I'm skeptical about the United States ever doing that. And he was right, because Obama cheated Iran and lied from day one. So while the Iranians were prepared to test the United States, it was a litmus test, and the Americans failed.
Yep.
The Iranians were prepared to bring about a change in the relationship. Again, the Americans were dishonest. So we have a history of attempting to create change in the relationship, and every time the United States bit the Iranian hand.